Ernesto Mercado is part of a new wave of American talent that Matchroom USA is betting big on. These are the kind of fighters who can push their footprint deeper into the US market. And when that fighter comes out of a hot boxing culture like California, from gyms with punishing sparring, deep lineage and real pressure, and when he keeps delivering violent highlight reel knockouts, those inroads get even wider, even faster. Mercado is undefeated and he's stopped almost everyone he's faced. And at just 24 years old, Tito Mercado carries the kind of calm confidence you see in fighters who know exactly where they're headed. If he keeps improving like this, the big fights aren't far away. He has the talent to go from prospect to contender to world champion, and he's going to be must-watch TV every step of the way. Tito, this is the first time you and I have ever spoken, so I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me and Combat X with Alan Dawson and Yahoo Sports. How are you doing? A few weeks away from, what's going to be the biggest platform of your career so far, fighting for a WBO title.
Yeah, man, the stakes are definitely high. I'm definitely excited. I haven't been in the ring for a while, so to have the stakes so high with titles on the line, obviously I'm fighting a guy that's, fought the best fighters. So I'm excited, man. I just can't wait to get back in that ring. It's been a minute, and I'm just looking forward to ending the year the same way I started it, with a bang.
Yeah, I was just about to say with a bang. There's so many things I want to talk to you about, but the ESPN just released their top 25 boxers under 25 years old, and you were a key part of that. So how does it feel for you to be named alongside such hot prospects, contenders like Kamel Moten, Brian Norman, Moses Aitama, some of the guys that are going to be carrying the future of the sport alongside you?
No, man, it's exciting. There's a lot of great fighters there, a lot of great talent. I'm just looking forward to seeing what we all could do. As long as I stay on track, I know I could definitely become, above that list as far as, maybe going into the list of pound for pound ranking. So I'm just always, I'm never satisfied. I'm always trying to look to always elevate myself. And I think that's the way any competitor should think.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think one of the things I always like, look into the youth and the prospects and the guys coming up like yourself, is because no matter where boxing is presently, Top Rank are still without a broadcaster. The PBC have had a reduced offering. Matchroom is still strong, your promoter, but I think you can really tell about the health of the sport when you look at who's coming up. And when you do look at who's coming up, guys like you, I feel like the sport is in a great place. What do you think about where you rank alongside, all the other strong kind of, guys who are early 20s who can kind of come in and, make their claim to be pound for pound, in the coming years?
No, I think we all have potential, man. I think we all have potential to do some big things to keep boxing alive, as they say. We had the guys before us that did their thing, and I think now this new wave of generation will be able to keep boxing alive. At least I can speak for myself. I do entertainment all across the board, whether it's trash talking before the fight, knockouts in the ring, after the fight, the post fight. So I know always I know for sure I'm gonna bring something to the table, and I know I always keep fans excited and I guess entertained, when it comes to boxing events, when I'm included in there.
I mean, the one thing that I think is guaranteed with Tito is that you do bring entertainment. There's a few things I want to go into with that, but when we look at your career and the guys you've finished, Jose Pedraza, Jeremiah Nicatalia, is there any fight in your career so far where it really made it clear to you that you belong on the world stage? Was there one standout moment where you thought, I am going to arrive, and it's only a matter of when?
They're all fights, they're all learning fights for me. I learned a lot with Nicatalia. The first 10 rounder I went unanimous decision in Nicaragua. That one definitely taught me a lot. Not so much, about the opponent, but more so myself. I went over there, the week before Nicaragua, and it was just different climate, and it kind of affected me, my performance a little bit in the ring. I was super gassed out. I think that's partially the reason why he was able to survive. But I think the Pedraza fight, I think that fight had the most eyeballs on me, the biggest platform I had. Obviously my first fight with Matchroom, and the way that I knocked him out the way I did, and the whole leading up to it on the press conferences, and then after the fight when I called out 𝐂𝐿, I think that's when everybody kind of got a lot of buzz, and I figured that obviously I knew what happened. I thought it happened a lot sooner, but I visioned the whole thing of what I saw when I was a little kid.
Oh, I love to hear that. I think when you mentioned about boxing in Nicaragua, with the conditions there, do you think, from what I was reading, you didn't have like the sort of amateur background that, say Shakur Stevenson had? So when you're boxing in environments like you did in that country, do you think that's just made you a better boxer where you know, if you're an amateur, if you have an extensive amateur career, you might get looks in other countries, you know, all around the world, you know, not just in, you know, North America or South America. So did you feel like that performance, I know you mentioned Pedraza, but do you feel like Boxing Nicaragua, but like kind of improved how, you know, the looks that you get and also the environments that you have to compete in?
I wouldn't say that. You know, I had a lot of amateur fights, you know, and I even fought across the nation, across the country on my fault with Team USA. I fought in Bulgaria against, you know, Russia, Wales, Bulgaria. So I definitely know the experience of, you know, fighting out of country and stuff like that. I just think it was more on our part, the lack of just, I guess, the whole, you know, commute. You know, we should have been there, you know, fighting a different country, 10 rounds, you know, against a guy that's like that. Regardless, you should be there at least like a month before so you could acclimate to everything. The same way, you know, they do with those fights right now in Saudi that's gonna happen this weekend. I'm sure those guys have been up there for a minute to acclimate. So I think it's just more of a lack on our part of, I guess, just not accumulating right to the weather. We should have took that into account. So I think it was more so that than anything.
When people think of fight finishes, I think, you know, with knockout punches, they come in all shapes and sizes. But, you know, some people might think of like a crude, violent fist swinger. But with you, there's such extraordinary technique in the way that you get a knockout. You know, I've seen you knock people out with a check hook, shovel hook. In order of importance, how would you rank where different ingredients are for actually finishing someone when it comes to power, technique, timing, accuracy? Or is it a mixture of all of the above? What do you think is the most singular important quality when it comes to getting such a satisfying statement knockout win like you do so often?
It's kind of hard, man, because I mean, like you said, there's so much things. It's not just straight power. I mean, obviously you need to be gifted with some type of power, right? But I mean, guys are able to knock dudes out with just pure precision and accuracy. You know, you hear stuff like, you know, things about Tank, right? They say that he doesn't even hit that hard. It's just more his accuracy. So I think it's a lot of factors that go into it. I think mine, I guess I have a little bit of everything. I know I have the accuracy, the precision, and obviously I was going with power. So it's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't go looking for the knockouts. Like you said, I'm not those type of guys that go there just throwing bombs and looking for it. I'm just taking my time, and I just been blessed to be able to, you know, when I touch guys, they just fall down.
I think that's one of the most exciting things about you. It's not just the knockout, it's just everything that goes into it. Like, you know, say Golovkin, it was kind of like a bruising accumulation of shots over, you know, a course of time. Deontay Wilder was just brute strength and power. One of my favorite knockout artists, obviously being English Prince Naseem Hamed. Is there anyone from boxing history that you really liked looking at and kind of, you know, analyzing and studying when it comes to knockout punches, you know, in our sport?
Knockout punches, man, you know, there's so many great knockout punches we had over the histories of, but I think one of my favorite fighters that at least not even so much knockout artist, which he was, you know, I think he had 26 wins and 26 knockouts if I'm not mistaken, but he just had that killer mentality, was Edwin Valero. You know, he had that,
yeah.
You know, he was not only did he have power, but he had precision and accuracy, and I feel like that's something that I kind of have as well, similar to him. And obviously we have two different styles, but I think we have the same similar type of ingredients when we knock people out.
He was a scary man in the ring. Yeah, there was like, he was coming up as like somebody that was gonna, I guess, take Manny Pacquiao's crown. I remember we were comparing him to Pacquiao as well. Yeah, what a puncher.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that fight never happened. I think we would have been in for a treat for that one. But that guy was just ruthless, man. When he saw you hurt, he went for the kill, and I think that's something that I also obviously obtain as well. You know, when I see a guy hurt, there's no fight that you guys never see me not take him out. So usually when a guy gets dropped or I smell blood, I usually take him out right away.
I was going to say, like, the way when people have a knockout winning streak, sometimes that comes to a halt as fighters continue leveling up. It's not come to a halt yet for you. You've got Antonio Moran next, you know, during a strong Matchroom card, December 13th. A tough Mexican. You'll be his 40th fight, so a lot of experience with him. When you look at his career, you know, you spot like a couple of losses by stoppage. Do you feel like you can knock anyone out, or do you feel like you go in, you know, looking to box and gain the rounds? You know, how do you kind of approach these fights as you continue stepping up in the level of competition?
The same way I approach every fight. You know, obviously, like I said, I don't go looking for the knockouts. Me and my team, we prepare for the 10 rounds or 12 rounds, whatever we're gonna go. This one's gonna be 10, so we prepare for the 10 rounds. We're sparring very hard right now, so like I said, I just go there, box, do my thing, stay calm, and I know once I touch him, he'll go down. And I usually, every fight, I kind of usually have an idea of when I'm pretty much gonna take him out. And I usually always call it, before the fights. I said with Pedraza, I'm gonna knock him out in 4. Nakathila, I said I was gonna knock him out under 3. So I usually, every time I kind of have I wouldn't say so much a prediction, but it's more like I kind of have it set in my mind that, I'm not gonna have this guy in there with me that many rounds. It usually comes into fruition.
I mean, we had the Mystic Mac, Conor McGregor in the UFC. We've got the Mystic Mercado in boxing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm based in Nevada. Obviously, being English, I've spent a lot of time around Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. Considering the state of American boxing right now, being in a state of flux, do you feel like Hearn is kind of the de facto #1 promoter in the US? What do you assess of like Matchroom and the imprint they're making in American boxing?
No, I think they're doing really big things, man. They have a lot of great fighters, especially American talent. They got Boots, they got Bam, they got a lot of great guys. I don't think there's so much impacting US, but I think just globally, right? I think they're the only promoters that are doing everything. Doing events everywhere. So I think they're doing a great job, man. And I'm hoping that I can just contribute to whatever they're doing.
I know you will, yeah, for sure. One of the things Eddie's got going on at the moment is this war of words with Dana White and, TKO coming into boxing. Who do you think is going to win that war of words between himself and Dana?
I don't know, man. They both got a mouthpiece on themselves, so I don't know. That's gonna be a tough one, right? That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be definitely a 50-50 matchup right there.
A win in December, for you gives you a title with the WBO. That's a hot sanctioning body for 140 pounds. There's Jose Ramirez, Oscar Duarte, Keyshawn Davis, Teofimo Lopez, all ahead of you currently in the WBO rankings. Is there anyone you've got your eye on specifically in that to, once if you get this title, you'll keep on climbing, you'll probably be in the top 10 at the WBO, even higher. There's a mix. Those guys I mentioned, there's a mixture of big California fights for you. There's national rivalries right there. What do you see in the WBO at super lightweight?
For sure, obviously, if we're talking about just world champions, obviously everyone wants to go for Teofimo Lopez. Obviously I'm ranked in WBO. I'm also ranked in the IBF, so I definitely want Richard Hitchens too. But, those two guys, or another name that you mentioned that I've been wanting for a while, Keyshawn Davis. I'm not sure when he's gonna fight or what's the case with him, but any of those guys, man, I would love to get in the ring with and obviously just do my thing like I've always been doing with any other fighters. It won't be anything different.
Yeah, it's been great speaking to you the first time, Tito. I'd love to speak to you after your fight, but is there anything else you want to share with the fans? The platform's yours about this fight and anything else you've got coming up in 2026.
Man, just stay tuned. December 13th, I'm coming with what you call redemption, or not so much redemption. What do you call it? A reckoning. I haven't been in the ring since January. So I'm going in there and I'm gonna do something pretty crazy on December 13th. And so just stay tuned. It's gonna be one of the best events or best fights of that year for sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thanks again, Tito. Wish you all the best mid-December. You get that fight out of the way. You can look forward to the holidays, and I look forward to speaking to you in 2026. It's going to be your year.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.